poverty as schools health center crumbled. Edo civil servant seeks 11 million naira to save daughter battling cancer. And we have this one. Family clarifies circumstances surrounding Tokwe Oshoba's death on page 9. Okay, now flipping on to what we have on transport and tourism on page 20. Nigeria needs aircraft manufacturers to complement market potential. And we have this one coming from aviation, where Keyamo and Onyema to attend the 30th LAAC conference. African Travel Commission appoints Boraima as co-chair. China outpaces US and UK as Nigeria's favorite destination, says a airline company. And on page 21, duty cut prices still high as budget-friendly cars trade at 15 million naira. That's an interesting one. Well, Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire deepen automotive trade ties. Still on that same page. And moving on to page 22, how actionable policies can secure GOG and unlock potential. All right, before we leave page 23 on agroeconomic climate change, farmers share coping mechanisms in Umuago community. Onto what we have on page 26. Telco expands network capacity by 1,000 new sites. Ayedatiwa signs electricity amendment law, establishes regulatory commission. Lautech resident doctors threaten strike over unmet demands. NAMDA Unilag issues strike warning over pay parity and unpaid allowances. On page 27, Niger Delta Environmental Restoration must stop 2027 campaign plan. And on Garden Sports on page 29, talking about the Commonwealth Fencing Championships, Samuel wins historic silver as competition ends today. Young players key to Polo's future, says Mohamed, and 5-year-old Omo Tosho dazzles fans at a 7th edition of Under 15 table tennis tournament. Well, to the ICC Under 19 Men's Cricket World Cup Africa qualifier, Junior Yellow Greens smashed tournament record as 4 batters overrun Mozambique. And on the back page of the Guardian newspaper, continue with sports stories. The NPFL's Nigerian Premier Football League, Rangers ready for Katsina United as NPFL gets a streaming deal. Infantino's fate lies with FIFA voters, says Motsepe. Warren threatens to postpone fight if Joshua Fury fails to agree venue. Morocco 2026 African Women's Cup of Nations. Cameroon's Behina tipped for MVP and Best Goalkeeper awards. And those are the stories that we have on the Guardian newspaper for this morning. We flip over to the Nation newspaper, which is right here with me, and the front page is filled with some interesting stories, as we have right here on page 7. DMO offers 1.1 trillion naira FGN bond. And on page 27, 7 die in mining pit collapse. Nation's refineries will work, be profitable, President assures, as transport operators must pass CNG savings to commuters. And this is a story that continues on to page 6 of the Nation newspaper this morning. Bajabia Mila, more time needed for policing bill impute. That's a story you find on page 25. And that story is on that page. Indian PM invites Tinubu to BRICS summit. On page 7, recapitalization, NICOM clears 7 more insurance firms. On page 4, Ondo opens electricity generation distribution for investors. Now, INEC, Osun governorship election will be transparent. Ballot papers, result sheets arrive. Tinubu urges Ambo to prioritize infrastructure development if elected. But then the figures are right here, talking about the Osun elections. 23 million eligible voters, 1.9 million total PVCs collected, 3,763 polling units, 332 wards, 30 local government areas, and 15. That's the number of candidates for the governorship elections. And inside of that story, you find more on pages 2 and 3, as well as on page 19. Why I'm backing Oyebamiji by Oyinlola Akpabio, Iwata Barao, Oshiomole of governor's campaign for APC candidates. Adeleke alleges presence of unauthorized INEC officials. Police confirm killing of APC campaign DG's nephew. Mop up 34 illegal firearms. And you find more of those stories on pages 2 and 3, as well as page 19. On page 25, Aviation Ministry, NCAA, airline operators reach agreement on debt repayment. All right, let's leave all of that story to flip on the inside page where we have on page 3 organized labor, anti-graft borders should check vote buy. On page 4, we have 2027, Abiodun welcomes Daniels and Kashamu's allies into APC. Doctors to Makinde meets our demands of face fresh strike. Ogun sets to begin 2025-2026 promotion for public servants. Okwebolo redeploys suspended commissioner as governor creates a ministry. More interesting stories on that page. On page 5, Earth tremor, no cause for alarm. Federal government tells FCT residents. NGSE announces dedicated line. Diri presents firefighting truck to Bayelsa Airport. Marwa to NDLE operatives. Remain resilient. Drug war is a generational task. And the story we read the other time is here also. Edo recorded 70 defilement cases in 7 months, and 50% of perpetrators are fathers, as says the commissioner. North Central Security won't be talk shop, so they assures. Now to business, 7 insurers raise recapitalized firms to 50, and that's the story you find on page 7. Tinubu assents to Ports Economic Regulatory Bill. Okay. Women in business from lawsuits to Silicon Valley, building a career in AI-driven healthcare. It's a story you want to read on page 8. Now to page 9, where we have interesting stories. Rad FM unveils cross-border payments platform to global customers. And on politics on page 11, after government house, what next for Zulum? Okay, flipping on to what we have on Friday, right on page 15. Super Falcons face clinical rejig. Team must rise after the big WAFCON fall. A record 10 African titles have made anything less than a trophy feel like failure for the Super Falcons. But Nigeria succeeds at the quarterfinal stage of the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations in Morocco, their earliest ever, has turned scrutiny away from silverware and towards something more fundamental. That's whether the team needs rebuilding from the ground up. And that's something you might want to read up from page 15. Continues on page 18. Gasol's second-term bid under fire amid stakeholders' counter attack. It also continues on to page 18. And of course, we have more interesting stories on the entertainment page right there. As MCSN warns public and music users against paying imposters for license. Okay, now flip into page 18 itself. And we have Amokachi pledges to scout grassroots talents as an ambassador of a betting company. CFF President Samuel makes fencing history for Nigeria. Super Falcons revamp is also on that page. Amotosho steals the show at the 7th edition of the table tennis tournament. It's a 5-year-old, and all roads lead to the home of Nigerian polo in Katsina. All right, flipping on to what we have. On page 24, Ondo Deputy Governor Mon's ex-National Assembly clerk, FICA, AI skills gap, youth must shape future of technology. And of course, lawmaker task graduates on integrity. And flipping on to the back page of the Nation newspaper, we have reflections with Baba Yusuf. We also talk about Nigeria building sustainable health, financing a future right there. Talking about what we have, and that is the package on the newspaper review segment this morning. We go on to pay some commercial bills and return with that with the weather report right after that.
Excuse me, ma. This is your 100% human hair.
Babes, are you sure you want to spend this much on hair? Since your landlord just increased rent.
I saved for this one separately on Money Point.
No, you say you save on Money Point?
Yes.
This Madam Money Point here, the array of hair dryer there is target savings Money Point I used to have it. The rest of this my sub is this savings Money Point I used to do it. The salary of this my staff is save as you transact, son.
Jennifer, Money Point save as you transact. Money Point fixed savings and Money Point target savings.
What's up? Why did John don't contribute to it? Why should they? Come on, oh, you go give your money to Hadaku to save. You see Money Point accounts there. You know, go open a savings account. Now Hadaku you shoot. I beg everybody inside this my salon. Oh, yeah, bring out your phone and download the Money Point app now. Even you. What are you waiting for?
Download the Money Point banking app now and start saving with the bank you can trust.
Money Point, made
for your progress.
All right, thank you very much for sticking around with us. And yes, we are in the interview segment this morning as we bring up something very important to the nation. Well, the 2027 political contest is beginning to take a different kind of shape, and there's a lot of questions that are dominating Nigeria's political space as of now. And of course, we have seen former Vice President Atiku move to the ADC, that's the African Democratic Congress. We have seen Peter Obi and Rabiu Kwankwaso move over to the Nigeria Democratic Congress. We've seen talks of alliances and disagreements over platforms, questions about a single presidential candidate, and now another attempt to bring the major opposition figures together. And there comes in the G100. Well, the G100 says it has consulted opposition leaders and is pushing for a fresh unity summit in Abuja on the 18th of August involving Atiku, Peter Obi, Rabi Kwakwanso, and allies of Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State. There's deeper questions, and this morning we are looking beyond the headlines and asking what it would actually take to build a coalition capable of winning the 2027 election. Well, the conversation this morning has us going back to reestablish the timeline so that you understand what we are talking about in case you have missed bits of it right there. There have been two major opposition coalition songs right there. Well, track one as the ADC, where the coalition initially rallied around the African Democratic Congress, ADC, with former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Senate President David Mark, and the former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, that's Babache Lawal, and the former Governor of Kaduna State, that's talking about Nasir El-Rufai, Rotimi Amechi, and others involved in the efforts right there. And the ambition was straightforward. They wanted to create one broad opposition platform capable of defeating the APC in 2027. Now, the arrangement developed serious internal tensions. We all heard about that. Peter Obi and Rabiu Kwankwaso left the ADC for the NDC, and that split was described as a major setback to the opposition's attempt to mount a significant and unified challenge to Tinubu. And here comes track two, the NDC, where the movement of Obi and Kwankwaso actually created another major opposition center. And the story has now gotten a lot more complicated. Well, the opposition now has multiple platforms and multiple presidential ambitions. And yet, the latest G100 initiative suggests that there is still an appetite to bring the camps together. And so they're saying that they have completed and concluded consultations with leaders of 6 opposition parties, and they are working toward a summit in Abuja on the 18th of August. That's a couple of days from now. Those consultations, according to reports that we have, include representatives around Atiku Abubakar of the ADC, Peter Obi of the NDC, Rabiu Kwankwaso of the NDC, Seyi Makinde's political camp, and there are other opposition actors also involved in here. So the G100, Saliu Mo Lukman and others have gone further, urging Atiku Obi Kwankwaso to put personal ambitions aside and support a single opposition candidate. And it is to this that we bring you the conversation around 2027 and the opposition coalition. And we have a guest who is going to do justice to that conversation in the person of Comrade Kehinde Ojoawu, who is a public affairs analyst.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Well, we've spoken a lot, but I mean, the first question that people are asking is, can the opposition truly unite strongly enough to defeat the incumbents?
It's possible.
It's possible.
If they can jettison their self-interest. You can see that what led to the fragmentation of the major opposition party in Nigeria, that is the PDP, is the self-interest of the political gladiators without that party. You can see what happened in 2023. What happened? The formation of G5. I didn't mean that G5 was not formed and worked against the the presidential candidate of the PDP. PDP should have been in government now, because the PDP at that time provided the alternative to the the poor performance of the then president Muhammadu Buhari. So people were disenchanted with that party, that APC, because of their economic policies and insecurity. So PDP would have, been elected to power in 2023, if not because of that, the dwindling down of their political influence, caused by the infighting within the party. So if the political gladiators now, that is the presidential candidate of the fragmented opposition parties, if they can come together and work for Nigeria, not for their own selfish interest, it will be possible, and they will be able to unseat the incumbent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because people are not happy with his government.
You have taken us to 2023. Now let's look at the figures from that election, the presidential election. The four leading candidates. Let's talk about the approximate votes that they had. The winner, who is the incumbent president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with the APC, got 8.79 million votes. Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, like you mentioned, got 6.98 million votes. Peter Obi was with the Labour Party, got 6.10 million votes. And Rabiu Kwakwanso of the then NNPP, then with NNPP, beg your pardon, actually got 1.50 million votes. These are the figures we got from INEC in 2023. Now, can four separate voter coalitions actually become one singular national electoral coalition that can, make a difference in this one?
It can make a difference. If you look at the figure of Kwakwanso and Obi, if you add it to the vote of Atiku, in fact, it's a lot of. It will have amounted to not less than 30 million.
But then, we can't just say we are going to add those numbers, because if an individual who votes for Kwakwanso does not necessarily mean he will also otherwise have supported Peter Obi.
You can see that if we put all the vote of the opposition together, it far outweigh the vote of the ruling party that time. It shows that statistics show that people at that party, that ruling party, was no longer popular as it was in 2019 and 2015. The popularity has been eroded because of the poor performance of the administration. So majority of people were ready to vote for the opposition at that time, but because the opposition were not together, the vote were just fragmented, and each of them cannot hold water to have defeated the APC. You can see, if you look at the difference, President Tinubu pulled 8 million. Atiku Abubakar put 6 million.
6.98. Peter Obi 6.10.
Then Kwakwanso
1.50.
1.5. If you put their vote together, the three of them, it far outweigh the vote.
If we look at that election again, we saw that the winning candidates had just about 36 points, maybe 61% of the valid votes. Atiku obtained roughly 29%. Obi got about 25.40%, and Kwakwanso got just 6.23%. Now, is it because they preferred Tinubu at that time, or because the anti-APC vote was divided? Because you're making it look like if we add all of those numbers together, it's a straightforward thing. But the argument,
what happened is that the G5 worked for, even despite that that fragmented vote. The G5 that we have added vote to the vote of Atiku Abubakar supported President Tinubu.
But not many people wanted Atiku. It was obvious that out there, a lot of people wanted a different personality rather than Atiku. And they were looking at Peter Obi. So you cannot say...
If Peter Obi have worked for Atiku, and Kwankwaso have worked for Atiku, people will vote for Atiku because of those gladiators.
Exactly what I'm saying.
So it will have added vote to that of Atiku.
Maybe some of them voted Tinubu because they did not like Atiku. Maybe some of the 8.98 million voters voted because they did not like Atiku. So we cannot automatically say that the numbers will be justified because some would rather Tinubu than Atiku in the Peter Obi camp.
If they don't like Atiku, Atiku will still get more votes. If all those leading presidential candidates that formerly belong to PDP, if they are together, Atiku will still get more votes.
Is that because of his popularity?
Because of his popularity, even because of the influence of those personalities. You consider those personalities, they have their own followers. Obi has his followers, Kwankwaso has his followers, Governor Seyi Makinde has his followers, the G5, the Wike. If they have worked together, they will be able to defeat the President Tinubu. They will be able to defeat him
at the 2023 elections.
2023, because all those people they have large following. So it is their influence that favored Tinubu, because the G5 they are not happy with the game of power within the PDP, the North-South dichotomy. You can see that. Even though majority of people were deceived that North-South dichotomy, that is, they are fighting, those G5 governors are fighting for a genuine cause, but it was a selfish agenda orchestrated by Wike.
What you said now, comrade, brings us to a very important question that we need to ask ourselves. Today is the 14th of August, 4 days away from August 18. Is that summit that they are planning for in Abuja genuinely, really about negotiating a coalition that will help Nigeria, or simply another meeting where everybody just says what they want and they talk about unity, but nobody wants to surrender his presidential ambition? Remember that Governor Seyi Makinde did bring all of them together to Ibadan, where they all spoke, and we thought something was coming. And it was afterwards that we had a coalition in Oyo State, PDP and APM. Is this summit going to generally, from what you've seen, comrade, is this generally about having one strong coalition, or everybody just wants to talk?
It's possible. The problem is with Peter Obi and Atiku. If the two of them can agree and present one consensus, I don't think we have problem with Governor Seyi Makinde. We'll be able to.
But he's gaining grants across the country.
He's taking grant, but he may step down for either of the two.
Do you think he would want to step down? Because this is an individual who has shown his ambition, and with his performances in Oyo State, a lot of people, even in the north, they do want to see his name right there on the ballot paper.
There's no problem if they sit together and choose a consensus. Whoever emerge will be supported. If it's Governor Seyi Makinde or Peter Obi or Atiku, any of them, they have the ability to lead Nigeria. They have the ability. So any of them.
Well, there are huge questions about what they have been developing right there, and we need to look at the G100 itself and the involvement of these individuals. And when you say any of them can be, at this point in time, Nigerians want a strong answer, and they want it to be an individual that will not divide the polls. We have seen some figures in 2023 who have caused some division amongst Nigerians. Some say, no, we don't want this man. some are saying the only reason you want him is because of where you're from. And then some people say, do you want to keep running with the old horses in the likes of Atiku? But then there are some figures who are starting to come up when it comes to talking about the 2027 elections. So is it time for us to have a change in the face to governors in the country? Or we should just keep up with, okay, this person has run for a couple of years, let's have him again?
Actually, if you look at the political equation of Nigeria now, I think anybody they want to choose must be from the south.
Must be from the south?
From the south.
Really?
Maybe between Peter Obi and Governor Seyi Makinde, either of them should emerge as the consensus presidential candidate. Because if they give it to Atiku, the APC, or the Southerners, they will still work against him. That is not yet the turn of the North. Even though that should not be the yardstick for measuring who should emerge as the president. The performance supposed to dictate. Nigeria is supposed to vote on merit, not on parochial sentiment. So, but for me and for many people, they will prefer a southern presidential candidate to complete the term of President Tinubu. I think they will prefer. But if they cannot agree, it means President Tinubu may still emerge despite his poor performance.
Okay, now, a very important question, comrade. Who should decide who represents, if this coalition actually stays strong as one and they agree on putting forward one person, who should, are we looking at a consensus? Should the delegates decide? Should there be an opposition primary, or should there be a polling where everybody actually picks a preferred candidate?
Actually, you have made a point. If they cannot sit down and agree among themselves, then the party may organize a mini congress to choose the preferred presidential candidate, and they must make sure that money does not play a significant role in the choice of that presidential candidate. Because if they allow money to have an upper hand, the wrong person may emerge, and there may be, disagreement. But the best thing for them is to agree among themselves, to genuinely agree among themselves. Because if they go to primary, it may still create problem. Their supporters, they may say there is no level playing field in the choice of the presidential candidate. So the best thing for them is to agree. If it is 6 of them, they should agree together and sacrifice their ambition for the interest of Nigeria. Because if opposition is not working now, Nigeria is moving to a fascist state. Because the style of President Tinubu is dictatorial. And you want to, and we can all see it. You want to capture Nigeria.
That's what you think of the
That's
style.
my opinion.
That's your opinion
Anyway,
of the style
that's my
of
opinion.
the president.
And it's not far from the truth, because I've been following the study. I've been studying his government since inception. It doesn't allow opposition. Even is silencing people's voices too.
Well, it is what you think indeed, and yes, you're entitled to your opinion about. But let's view this through a different lens. You did mention earlier on that whoever should replace the incumbent president should come from the south, given certain things. Now, the opposition has the four most popular candidates coming from different regions of the country. Atiku is from the northeast. Kwakwanso, who is with Peter Obi, is from the northwest. Obi himself is from the southeast, while Governor Seyi Makinde is from the southwest. And we're looking at a very fascinating strategic puzzle in front of us. But the question is, has politics of zoning become very much more important than competence in determining the opposition's tickets?
Actually, it shouldn't be the yardstick. The zoning should not be the yardstick. Supposed to be the performance. But the only problem is that people are not given the opportunity. That is, the people, the voters, they are not given the opportunity. Or the people are not interested in the political process. If people are interested, if there's no apathy, people are supposed to decide. People are supposed to decide who they want. In the selection of the candidate at the party level, not at the general election. But many people are not interested in politics. Genuine people, civilized people, educated people, they are not interested. And that's why those people that, occupy the political parties, majority of them are not, they are being influenced by the gladiators. They are being influenced by money. The money bags have taken over the party structure. If not because of that, people are supposed to, choose who they prefer within the party. And if the people choose, the idea of zoning may be discarded. People will look at the scorecard of each of the contestants. They will look at their antecedent, their performance, and that will speak for them. Will speak for the aspirant or the candidate, the performance. Supposed to speak, not the zoning, because that zoning is producing mediocrity. It's promoting mediocrity in our political system. Do we have any such arrangement in advanced countries like Britain or in United States of America? We don't have anything like that.
Well, their climes are different.
What matters is the ideology of the political party. If we have political parties that have ideology, they will choose any person, irrespective of his state of origin or his geopolitical zone or any bloc. They will choose him. Once they see that he is competent, he can truly represent their party, he can truly represent Nigeria.
Comrade, let's look at the Kwakwanso factor. Now that we're still talking about zoning. Kwakwanso comes from the northwest. And that area has the country's largest geopolitical voting bloc. It's all agreed. Talk about like of Kano. Can any serious opposition coalition do anything to topple the present government without that bloc, without Kwakwanso's network when it comes to politics?
Actually, Kwakwanso is very important. That's why I will still go back to what I said, that they must agree. They must agree together. If they agree together and bring all the zone to themselves, if they bring all the leading gladiators from each of the zones that determine electoral success, if they bring them together, they will be able to succeed. That's why they must agree. Each of them must sacrifice their self-interest and look for the general interest, the larger interest of Nigeria.
Don't you think that APC have a certain advantage? No, they are incumbents in power. They have a lot of things working for them, the institutions, and with the way Nigerians...
Is there any institution that is greater than the electorate in democracy?
But we have found time to that number in Nigeria that whoever has the presidency almost always wins.
If people are not ready to vote for the incumbent president, there's nothing he can do.
But then the party for the late Muhammadu Buhari also produced the next president after him. Despite
It's because the opposition was weakened.
weakened
What was weakened now?
by themselves, by themselves.
By themselves, and from the external influences.
What external influences?
Okay. Look at Yeson Wike.
Also within the PDP. at
Within the
that time.
PDP,
Yeah.
he's working for APC.
Was he working for APC then? Did we ascertain that he was working for APC before they started the scoreboard? It was internal crisis in the PDP.
It was we agree that it was internal crisis, and that internal crisis was premised or generated by self-interest of Wike. If Wike had been given the vice presidential ticket, would there be anything like that?
But was that the same thing for Peter Obi and his Labour Party?
It was also the self-interest of Peter Obi. It was also the self-interest. When Peter Obi was not able to get the when he was expressing, he was nursing, when he started to nurse fears that Atiku could have an advantage over him because of his money. Because Atiku with a greater economic power, the money he can use to buy delegate at any time. So it was the fear. The same thing still repeated itself this year. You know, what led to Obi leaving ADC to NDC is the same fear. So and that is born out of the inordinate ambition to become president.
Well,
Majority of them, they are desperate to become president.
majority of them.
Majority of them, they are desperate. And if they cannot sacrifice that ambition, they may not be able to work together.
These people in the opposition, are they spending too much time trying to just defeat President Tinubu and not enough time being spent to tell Nigerians what they would do differently? Because many people have said, okay, yeah, you're out the opposition and you're trying to get in power, but most of you have not said what you would do differently. I know Peter Obi did mention before 2023 about the things he was planning to do and things he would have done. Even in recent months, we've seen some of that. But some of the others have barely done that. And it raises a lot of questions to the Nigerian mind because they want something different, they want to have a different feel. And there raises the question, could the economy make the Nigerian voter the real opposition against the incumbent president?
Actually, the position of the president, it requires compassion.
Compassion.
It's a fatherly job. The father should be able to take care of his children and wives and also be responsible to the society. So in a situation where we have a president that is not compassionate, problem will erupt. So that will lead us to, really define his economic policies. If his economic policies is not too harsh, many Nigerians will not be complaining. But now, the economic policies is too harsh. Many people have been, thrown into poverty. Many people. Those people who are living a good life before, they can no longer afford it now. So people are disenchanted with this administration. If the opposition can come together, people want to have an alternative. They want to choose another person.
So you're saying...
So if we can get somebody like Governor Seyi Makinde, if he becomes president of Nigeria, people will be happy because of his, the way he has been handling Oyo State in terms of workers' welfare, people's welfare, and all the rest. So if we have president like that, we don't know what Obi too can do. The people of his state were able to say that when he was governor. So if you have somebody like that, I think Nigeria will have a sight of relief, because this present situation is so bad.
So you're saying that majority of the voters will also think about the president's performances stepping into office. Now, the question is, what kind of alternative do the people really want? What are they looking for in a president, the masses, from the complaints, from what you have seen, as a public affairs analyst, what you've seen so far of Nigerians? What do you think the people really want in the president?
You see, in any economy, people need support. People need support. That brings us to that issue of subsidy. Subsidy. There must be subsidy on, petrol, foods, and other things. Education. There must be subsidy. It is that subsidy that will give people relief. And that issue of subsidy is captured in our constitution. Even though that constitution does not give court to act on it, the welfare and security of Nigeria is in the constitution, and that's the issue of that's the where issue of subsidy is very relevant to make people live a good life, to improve the welfare of the people. So any president that will be coming must be able to improve the welfare of the people by giving succor, by giving succor to the people in the area of policy, education, food, the essential things is very necessary. Look at the petrol now. Look at the petrol. Despite the fact that there is a windfall arising from Iran-American war, or Iran-American war, or Israeli war, a lot of windfall. Do we feel it? We don't feel it. Fuel price is still increasing, and you can see the significance or the bearing of energy on the people. If the cost of energy is too much, it will affect people's welfare. So subsidy must be on energy, electricity, education, food. Those are the things that people want. Any government that cannot do that is anti-people. So that's why Nigeria needs alternative. If this government will continue, inflicting hardship on the people, it's not too good.
All right. Thank you very much, comrade, for your contributions on the conversation this morning. Well, we've had a fine conversation this morning with Comrade Kendi Ojawo, a public affairs analyst on 2027 and the opposition coalition. We're still waiting for what comes of the G100 summit in Abuja in a couple of days from now, and definitely we'll actually understand what they are up to.
Actually, we cannot foreclose the possibility of them coming together.
Okay.
We continue to be hopeful for a better Nigeria.
We are continuing in the hopes for a better Nigeria. Thank you very much. When we come back from this break, our second guest will be on seat with us. All right, thank you very much. Well, as promised, our second guest is right here on seat with us to continue the conversation this morning on 2027 and the opposition coalition. The G100 summit is still very much there, and a political analyst enters the fray this morning to serve us more. Is a man who knows all too well. Honorable Josiah Olufemi is right here with us this morning, and we welcome you to the conversation.
Yeah, good morning. Nice to be here once again.
All right, what do you make of this G100 summit proposed for August 18 in Abuja? The thoughts towards a strong coalition uniting the major political stakeholders when it comes to fighting against the incumbent president in the elections. Not physical fighting, but control votes. Yeah.
Well, thank you. The agenda for a coalition is not new in Nigerian politics. It is part of the democratic process. If you recall that in the First Republic, we had a coalition of the NNDP and MPC We have a coalition of the Action Group and the NCLC. Even in the Second Republic, we had a similar coalition where the other parties tried to come together against the MPN, even though it didn't work out eventually. Most times, when the minorities are ruling, when I mean minority, they might have won election, but they must have won election with a minority vote. Like we have in Nigeria today, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu got about 38% of the total vote.
36.61.
Of the total vote casted in the last election. Where over 60% of the vote was scattered among the opposition, the other parties. This is not good for democracy, because what it means is that it is not a popular franchise per se. Because a popular franchise should mean that at least you score above 50%, simple majority. But we have a situation in Nigeria where our electoral process is structured in a way that you can even imagine a president without scoring a simple majority. To the extent that all you need to do is to have a quarter of votes in 2/3 of the states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory. So what the law says is that once you have 25% in 24 states, you can go ahead and become the president, even if you win the election by 25% vote. Some of us have agitated for that law to be reviewed, but somehow those managing the system have refused to do so. And this most of the time can allow even the least or the wrong person to emerge as a leader. Because what it means is this: when you emerge with a minority as against the majority, there could be tendency for dictatorship, authoritarianism. But when we have a system where people come together, knowing very well that your continuity as a leader is largely dependent on the coming together of the group of political parties, you have tendency to always be careful about the way you go about executing your powers, unlike what we have in Nigeria today. So for me, I believe that those who have chosen to come together from the various opposition parties are in the right direction. But I hope they will be able to subdue their personal interests for the collective interest of the generality of the population of the country.
All right. We know that to go ahead, you have to sometimes look at what you've done in time past and try to correct mistakes.
Okay.
And you have made references to the 2023 election in your intro, speaking about the number of votes, the percentage of votes that the incumbent president got. Let's look at that number again. For the APC, who had the late Muhammadu Buhari leaving power at that time, they still got Bola Ahmed Tinubu with 8.79 million votes.
That's true.
The next person closest to him was Atiku Abubakar.
6.9 million.
6.98.
Yeah.
After that was Peter Obi with Labour Party then 6.50, and then Rabiu Kokonso
6.1. Did this?
6.10, beg your pardon. And Rabiu Kokonso with 1.50 million votes. Now, Rabiu Kokonso, with his Northwest network, has joined forces with Peter Obi for this one.
Okay.
They've gone together to the NDC after leaving the ADC. The ADC still remains with the likes of David Mark and Atiku Abubakar. Yes. And now there is another figure, Governor Seyi Makinde, joining forces.
Okay.
Now, do you think realistically that we can put these numbers together and have something solid? Because like the previous guest had spoken, he said the personal interest of each of these individuals might be the biggest challenge. And we have seen it play before now. We have seen it play in the movement of some of them to the other parties. So how does it play out with what we have known already about these individuals?
Well, let me remind us that sometimes in March this year or thereabout, there was a summit in Ibadan where the opposition figures met. And part of the resolution they publicized then was that they were going to feature a single candidate against the incumbent. Shortly after that, Peter Obi and Kwankwaso left the ADC and moved into the NDC. And shortly after that, Kwankwaso, I read an interview where he said that they are still open to coalition. He said it somewhere. So for me, if people at that level could come to a place like Ibadan, which is an historical political city, and make a statement that they are going to come together, and shortly some of them started departing from the existing coalition at that time, then you begin to ask yourself that how committed are these people to their words? Because when people begin to doubt your commitment to what you say, it might affect your chances as a leader. In the electoral process, does it mean buying votes from people you want to lead is fair? These are the questions people should ask Mr. President. So when you want to contest against such a man, you don't go into the election thinking it will be fair. Because this is a man that has shown in all actions with all intent and purpose that he wants to remain in power. Even if the whole country collapses, it doesn't matter to him. So if for the sake of Nigerian people, because we are at the stage where political leaders must put their personal interests aside, we need the utmost sacrifice. And let me tell you, in politics, there is pecking order. We know ourselves. For instance, someone like me will not aspire against my principal, knowing fully whether he has interest in something. Because the moment I challenge him, that means he's no longer my principal. Even though it's a democracy. Because when you call somebody your principal, that means you have allowed him, you have chosen him to lead. So the moment you are contesting that leadership with him, it is no longer your principal. It now becomes an opponent, even if you are within the same political party. Having said that, there is also a generation shift. So they have to look at two issues. Should they allow a pecking order whereby the most experienced of them should lead? Or should the older ones among them sit back and allow a new generation to take over?
If you look at the last polls, a lot of individuals said they didn't want some certain figures, especially those that rose from the PDP, to contest, because they had seen them over time and they did not believe that they could.
Why you say a lot? Maybe some.
I'm not saying everyone. I'm just saying a lot also means some, means many.
From certain section of the country.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, across board, some people felt they prefer a younger individual to come lead. They prefer someone different who has better ideas, and that is why we had the likes of Kwakwanso getting the number he got with the Northern Bloc, and Peter Obi getting the number he got. Now, we are still saying some of the same figures, trying to run the role, trying to be the presidential candidate of each party they go into. Are these not questions that they should look inwards and say, maybe it is time for us to take the back seat and allow others drive? Maybe we can play an advisory role.
That's exactly the same thing I said earlier. That going forward for them, there are two things to be considered. It is for them to know which one to choose. We can only speculate. In this kind of a situation, we have those who have led before at certain level, like Atiku Abubakar, who was the vice president to Olusegun Obasanjo, like Obi, who was a two-time governor in Anambra State, and who was an economic advisor to Goodluck Jonathan, like Kwankwaso, who was a governor on 2 occasions in Kano, and also a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And if you look at both, the three of them, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Kwankwaso, so, they are in their 60s and 70s. If you look at the Sheyi Makinde, he's in his 50s. They can decide on their own based on the demography of the nation. Because when you are going to look into a coalition like that, a lot of factors will come to play. You might have the second highest vote, like Atiku did in the last election. But that does not guarantee that he will pick the ticket of the coalition automatically. There are people who might be saying that it's rotational presidency. That might be considered too. But some will say it's not constitutional. And I'm in that school of thought because we can't run a system without looking at the laws. If you want something to work, put it in the law. To now say it's gentleman agreement, it doesn't always work in politics.
Now, some people have mentioned, because you mentioned factors as being a part of what they should utilize.
Yeah.
Some people have looked at influence and zoning.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Ibadan summit in March.
Okay.
The influence to be able to get all of those individuals is something to consider. And then
Definitely.
zoning. The previous guest, I'm only adding to what you said now. I'm
Okay.
making suggestions and maybe we'll bring up something from there. The previous guest did mention that in the best interests of that coalition, those who are going to raise a consensus should consider that the incumbent president is from the south, and it would only make sense to get someone from the south to actually replace him, to have continuity and to have that following, the numbers that they so want the coalition to bet at the polls. Do you agree with that?
Not totally. Like I've said, you see, we have a major problem in Nigeria. You can't run a system without the law. The rule of law is the hallmark of democracy. And when you speak of the rule of law, you will be speaking of the spirit of the law and the letters of the law. What are the intentions? What do the lawmakers envision to say, let us run it this way? We can't lie to ourselves in this country because we continue to lie to ourselves a lot. And when somebody raises a fundamental to like the one I'm saying, people will say, let's have a... You see, Nigeria is a country of over 250 ethnic nationalities. So if you say zoning, by my own understanding, it should not even be a Yoruba man that should be our president now. Because if you want to be truthful to yourself, you say it's the son of the South. Should it be Bola Ahmed Tinubu? No. My name is Femi Josiah. It should not be a Yoruba man. If we truly want zoning. But you cannot have halfway zoning. There's nothing like half-truth. Half-truth is a lie. If you want to be truthful, be completely truthful. And the only way that can make that to happen is for the law to be exact. In most instances, the law should always do it shall, because it's a compulsion, not it may. So if we had an Obasanjo as an 8 years president, we have an Osinbajo as an 8 years vice president in the 24-year tenure. Now we are now beginning to have a Tinubu who is completing another 4 years. So what happened to the people in the southeast? Let's assume that, okay, we had a Goodluck Jonathan who is from the south. So if people are talking of zoning, two things. Let's be fair and just about our intention on zoning. Let's make it a law. I will never be part of the people who will have a gentleman agreement with politicians. I'm one. We don't always stay on the path of truth. So the only way you can make people to remain on the path of truth is to make it a law and let the disagreement with that law come with consequences. I'll give you another example. A lot of Nigerians don't even know if somewhere like local government, it's not distinctly, explicitly explained in the constitution as a tier of government. We actually have two tiers of government. The third tier is a sub-tier. Because when you say a government is, that means it's independent on its own, operating its own laws and rules under the constitution. Like we have state government. State governments have state high court. So in the proper democracy, they should have a state police. Do you get it? But in Nigeria, you said you want local government as a tier. But in the law, it is put under the state government. to the extent that the State Assembly makes law for them. Is the National Assembly the one making law for your state? Do we take our budget to the National Assembly before they are passed? Our budgets are passed in the State Assembly here. But a local government chairman cannot spend a dime without the State Assembly looking into his budget and the way he runs his own economic affairs. Do you understand? So when people are asking for local government autonomy, do you give a man a goat without releasing the rope? Oh, take this goat, have that shoe, but I'm holding the rope. Have you given me an autonomy? So for us to have a proper autonomy, for instance, we must have the laws that make it properly autonomous. I brought in that instance because a lot of times the system deceived the people. The system deceived the people. And how do I mean that the system deceived the people? The operators of the system deceive the people. And the people don't ask questions. When something is not right, when something is not working the way it is anticipated, then something is wrong in its foundation. Do you get it? So if you want zoning, for example, let's make it our law. So if it's the turn of the southern Nigeria, a northerner will not even dare contest because the laws will not permit it.
So
do you get it?
How do we know if the people can get to ask the right questions? Do the people know the right questions to ask?
The people, you see, there is what we call duties and responsibility. It is the duty of those in government to run the system. It is the responsibility of the citizens to hold them accountable. It's like you employ some. You see, the concept of democracy is like you run a company and you are an employer of employees in that company or workers. The Nigerian people are the owners of the country. They are the state. The state is made up of the people and the government and the institution of government. Now, the Nigerian people owns this system. The elected representatives are messengers. That's why they call them public servants. But unfortunately, when Nigerian people elect a representative, they now turn themselves to servant of that representative. Rather than, for instance, if I'm a member of the National Assembly, I should come to my constituents every quarter to hold a town hall meeting. As a matter of fact, I cannot go to that National Assembly to speak on behalf of my constituents without consulting them. Even if I conceptualize the idea, I must market the idea to them. And I must make them to own it. That is what democracy is all about. But what we have in Nigeria is that when people are elected, it's as if they are given blanket power to run the lives of the citizens. And when you don't hold such people accountable, they can run your life aground like we are witnessing in Nigeria today. A president, for instance, cannot determine how I live my life. And you're asking me not to have a say in how such a president emerges. You're asking me not to have a say in understanding the proper identity of that president. You're asking me not to have a say in querying the credentials of that president. It's like I want to employ you, and you are telling me not to query your credentials, whether you're even qualified to even work in my organization.
So for you, it's competence over zoning.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, competence. All right, now let's look at something that's been bothering a lot of people. Let's say a lot of times it feels like those in the opposition have been too focused on the presidency and not on what they can do differently. Do you agree with that school of thoughts?
Not necessarily. Because the essence of politics is to acquire power. What you do with the power now depends on your intention. If your intention is to serve the people, you will obey the law and be concerned about the security and welfare of the people. If your intention is to serve yourself, you will see policies as investment, as business, and that is what we have been experiencing in most instances in this country. Most people that come into political system in Nigeria are businessmen, and that's why they will spend a lot of money to get the power. And it will be silly of any citizen to think that the man who is spending billions on you to buy your vote will serve your interest. Some may do, but as they are serving your interest, they will be serving their own interest first. So what people usually do is that they bring the money, actualize power, acquire it, take over the treasury of the state, and they start determining who gets what and at what cost. Not about how do we better the life of these people. And this is not about the ruling party alone. It's across board, without exception. I can say it in my full chest. The average Nigerian politician is a businessman. I'm one. Not all of us. So the citizens have to be specific about what do they really want. Do you want leaders that will care about your well-being, the welfare of your children, the future of your children, your safety, your sustainability, and so many other indices of human development? Or do you just want a leader because it's from your religion or your zone? And you don't care whether every other things I mentioned will come from such leader. So until Nigerians begin to hold their leaders accountable, and like you rightly said, those in opposition must be held accountable too. It's not just for them to want to seek power, because some of them in opposition are not totally in opposition. They might be in opposition at the national level, but in the various states, they're not in opposition. So Nigerians have to look at, okay, you are coming from the opposition to want to aspire to be president. You are a governor. You have been a governor. What are your antecedents? What are the people you ruled over or you led in the past? What are they saying about you? If the feedback from those people is negative, then those from outside your zone, we have to ask questions, are we making the right decision? But most often than not, are the people even the ones making that decisions? Or the gatekeepers will just say that this is where we are going, and the people will not question it.
All right, as we begin to wrap up on this conversation, what exactly would you tell those who are going for that summit in Abuja on the 18th of August? So maybe we'll have a change. Maybe we'll have a better Nigeria, like everybody wants. Maybe at some point in time, we'll look at the 2027 elections and we'll say, we did something different this time around.
Well, before I make my recommendation, I want all of us, including those watching me, to understand that the greatest threat to the Nigerian future is the continuation of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a president.
That's what you think?
Is what I know. I have evidence. You see, a leader who cares not about the welfare and the security of the people does not deserve to be a leader. Because that's the fundamental objective of leadership under the law. That's the law, not me. I didn't say so.
Okay.
If you look at the fundamental objective and directive principle of state policy, it says in section 14 of the Constitution, subsection 1, that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary duty of government. So is this government doing it? Let's not, Nigeria, we are all poorer. We don't feel secured. And we don't see them doing enough to secure us.
Maybe it's the part where things get a bit harder before it gets better.
You need to prioritize your interest. If all a government cares about is to build a 700 and something kilometer road, it is okay, but that is their priority. Our immediate priority now is securing the system, investing in technology to make it very difficult for kidnappers and terrorists to even stay in our bush.
Okay.
Are you getting what I'm saying? As of 2023 election, the most germane issue for Nigeria was security and poverty. So if a leadership comes and is not, you need to, even if you have not gotten the desired result, the people must see a serious effort in that direction. But are we seeing that at all? Not at all. They are more interested in doing bogus projects in trillions.
Is this a part?
Not saving the Nigerian people's life.
Honorable, is this a part of what you'd be telling the coalition ahead of the August 8th?
Definitely, because if this man continue to lead this country, Nigerians should blame the opposition leaders for not coming together.
All right, let's talk to
There is nowhere Bola Ahmed Tinubu will win election if they come together.
All right, let's talk to the coalition leaders and know what they should hold for so that they can be able to achieve something in 2027.
They should first consider the welfare of Nigerian people, the future of this country. Nigeria is so divided right now that if you're on social media, you will see the Northerners blaming the Southerners, you will see the Igbos and the Yoruba fighting themselves. If you cannot stay together, let us decide to have a confederation to go our way. We don't need to be together if we so much hate each other. Do you get it?
Do we truly hate each other?
From all indications, there is not everybody, but there is a lot of hatred propelled by political actors. And Nigerian people ignorantly have aligned with them. Because the truth of the matter is this: we politicians, we are not our enemies, though. We might disagree. Do you get it? But deep down, we don't crave enmity the way our supporters do.
So
Some of my most reliable friends are in APC. Wonderful people. The people that I know that if I'm down today, they will stand up for me. Irrespective that we are in different parties. I don't need to mention names.
Okay.
Some of my worst enemies are in my own parties. People who know I can do better, but why should it be me? They will do everything to stop me. Do you get it? So, Nigerians should not allow politicians to divide them. Nigerians should not allow politicians to deceive them with ethnicity or religion. Because a politician has no religion or ethnicity. When a politician says I'm a Christian, it's a lie. Because when they want to share money, they don't remember the Bible. If a politician tells you I'm a Muslim or a traditionalist, it's a lie. Because when they want to share money, I'm not saying all. There are a few politicians who are genuinely Christians or Muslim or traditionalists. But majority of us, when it comes to our interest, when we want to decide what benefits us, we don't remember our religion. We don't remember our tribe. Are you getting what I'm saying? So the Nigerian people should not be deceived. Don't let any man tell you the turn of Yoruba man is a lie. Because when you go to that petrol station, you pay the same price. There is no price for Yoruba people. There is no price for Igbo or Hausa Fulani people. So why should you allow those making the policy on your behalf? Because they don't suffer from the policy. They live on the state. I don't know when last a governor spent his money to buy petrol or the president. It's you and I that will buy it.
Okay, well, we do not know about that, but we have to...
I know so. They don't spend their money. It's the state that buy for them.
Okay, Honorable Josiah Olufemi, we have to thank you very much for your time on this conversation this morning. Well, Honorable was coming as a political analyst to serve us in the conversation around the 2027 and the opposition coalition, and we're waiting for updates on August 18 out there. But then, thank you very much for your timely messages and the conversation on behalf of the entire production crew of AM120. All right, we go on a break now. Return for the sports segment.